Hello. Hello.
She was gonna take my.
Hi, Courtney. We're still waiting for Mallory to show up. So we're getting ready to start.
She just pulled in.
We know that. And then we find a place, because she's been looking, and then Shannon from her office, and I asked her, she's from New Jersey originally. So I asked her, I said, so then she asked her mom and then her brother, what was everybody said? And is the place that he's talking to me. And so she asked, so she kind of gave me some towns and I'd say, and then they did the same thing. And they said, and I said, because the community in New Jersey that New York is not very, they're not very subway, but she says if I go there, I could probably, because she is applying for jobs. She's not.
Was it all aboard of men back in the day?
Serve job, at least 3 or
I don't know why.
Dear sirs.
Oh, yeah.
She's gotta have, yeah. And she works like right now. 4 days a week, but but anyway, so she's doing that and then. But she's gonna been a lot. Yeah. And then she also lost her. There for a couple of years. And then as a baby.
We're ready.
Okay. This is the start of the Clatsop County Fair Board's October 1st, 2024 work session. First up topic is land use update from Gail Henriksen.
Wow, it's like no preliminaries, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks.
I have 2 extra copies. If you would like where do you want me?
You can sit there or you can stand. What would you like? I can bring
I'll
this
stand
over.
because I sit all day. So,
Do you want me to bring this over for you?
no.
Okay.
So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Gail Henriksen. I'm the Community Development Director for Clatsop County. And so I'm over the Planning, Code Compliance and Building Codes Division. And I didn't realize I was giving an update per se, but I thought we were kind of starting a dialogue because I know that your board is looking to increase the activities here at the fair and diversify them and get some new stuff in. And there are a lot of limitations on the property in terms of wetlands, floodplain, geologic hazard area. And also your approval from 1994 probably needs to be updated as well. And I'm sure that Kyle has talked to you about this, but in the document that says county farm on it, if you open up to where it says page 3 at the top, and then flip back a page to what would be presumably page 2. This list, starting at the bottom of that page 2, it says based on the findings, blah, 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 you're subject to the following conditions. And there are about 34 conditions or so. And so some of them that have been in place now for 30 years are probably limiting some of the activities you can do. So for example, when the fairground originally got approved, ODF had a lot of concerns about the activities here. And so they requested a 250-foot setback on that north parcel. And I think today they're probably more comfortable with how the fairground operates, and there's opportunities to change that. But right now you're locked into a 250-foot setback. Same thing with condition number 31. And I think this is the one that causes the most concern, is that it says racing or other such activities involving automobile, motorcycle, or other motorized vehicles are limited to inside operations only. And so if you wanted to hold any type of racing event, motorcycle races, tractor pulls, those types of things, you're limited to inside the building only under your current approval. So there are some things that I think your board would want to discuss, and I'm happy to come back for future meetings. But I also wanted to take a few minutes and talk about what is my new favorite subject, which is the FEMA biological opinion. And has anybody not heard at this point about FEMA's biological opinion? It's a set of new rules that are coming into place that are really going to either restrict or make development so much harder if you're in a floodplain. So on July 15th, FEMA, out of the blue, announced that every jurisdiction affected by this in the state has to adopt a pre-implementation compliance measure, a PICM, by December 1st. And the alternatives go from bad to worse. You can either adopt a model ordinance that has these very technical requirements for mitigation and compensation, compensatory storage, or you can require each permit applicant to prepare their own habitat assessment to make sure you're not impacting endangered species or critical habitat, or you can just prohibit all development in the floodplain. So no real good choices, no information from FEMA, no training from FEMA, and this has to be done by December 1st. So the board has had several, the Board of Commissioners has had several discussions about this, and understandably, they are not thrilled by having to make one of these decisions. To date, they have not made a decision, but what they have directed staff to do is bring forward a temporary moratorium on floodplain permits that, if it's adopted, goes into effect November 13th and would run through February 25 of next year or 28 of next year. So if there are things that your board knows are coming up that you may need permits for, apply before November 13th.
Right.
So that gets you grandfathered in under the old rules, the current rules.
Yeah.
So that's really not an update. I'm just here more to answer your questions if you have specific things you want to know about.
I do. So like if we wanted to change the conditions,
Mhm.
would we just apply to make the changes? And is that necessary for us to do so because of the upcoming 12-1?
The 12-1 will probably not affect your conditions of approval necessarily.
Even if the 31 being that we want to move the motorized stuff outdoors?
Yeah, so even if you move it outdoors, once we know which pathway we're going down,
Mhm.
it's not going to be prohibit development. I can tell you that much.
Okay.
So it's either going to be model ordinance or it's going to be habitat assessment.
Okay.
After December 1st and when the rules eventually get updated, whatever you do down there would be subject to the new requirements. So it will be more money, more time.
So we want to do this by November 13th.
Not necessarily changing your conditions,
No,
but applying.
For that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that grandfathers you in, but future events, fairs 2 years from now are going to be subject to the new rules.
Okay.
So just kind of as where we think we are, we did a pre-app, we had brought in DSL,
Mhm.
Fish and Wildlife, and Department of Forestry and talked about this, and they seemed open to all of them, the things we were talking about. But really the hangup is, well, yes, we could technically go through the process. We'd have to do the neighborhood meeting and do the hearings and all of that. There would still be some kind of note in the updated conditions that would say you must comply with wetland
Right.
or must do a wetland delineation or abide by whatever wetland
For
regulations we
each
come up with.
time or each instance, or will there be a
Well-
period of time that?
It's so depending on how we did it, if we were to go through with the wetland piece prior to getting the conditions updated,
Mhm.
then it wouldn't be in the conditions of approval anymore. But if we were to say, hey, we want to change the conditions now and we'll deal with those on a case by case basis, then that would always be in the permit unless we had it amended again.
So what would the recommended route be?
So I think that after your board has reached some decisions about the types of activities, any of the conditions you want to change or remove, then reach out to Kyle or to me directly, either one or both of us, and we can, you'll just submit an application. to revise your conditional use permit, which is what this is.
Okay,
And then you will need to give us a detailed list of what it is that you would like to see in the new revised approval. And then depending on that, if you had a wetland delineation, that helps, but they're only good for 5 years. So it's not necessary to update your conditions.
okay.
I would say it will probably help you more as you move forward with specific events to be able to show, okay, we're doing a rodeo or something, but here's the wetlands, but all our stuff is going to be over here. So,
Okay.
Like, for instance, like, yeah, we do have the prohibition against the motorized event outdoor, but we could technically do a livestock type of event, but we would still have to go through the whole temporary fill permit issue,
So-
even the way it is now.
Okay, so that's what I'm looking at. The blue area on this map, are we looking at doing that? Is it the blue square?
Yes,
Okay, so the blue square, we don't have. It's just soil, correct?
flood hazard
if you look at this
Oh,
one,
it does have a flood
Yeah.
hazard and soil,
and soil.
sorry.
which, that, this map, even where it shows this is kind of,
The gravel, isn't it? Okay.
right? That's what I was gonna say, is some of this elevated gravel lot is still technically in the shaded zone, and that's where the wetland part will help because it will identify that better, right?
Well, the blue, let's walk through the map. The front one, obviously, it's just your aerial map showing you the site layout. The second one with the blue delineates the 100-year floodplain. These are the areas that are going to be subject to the new FEMA requirements. And even if the land is not wet, even if it's high, even if it's gravelled, if FEMA still shows it on the map, it's in the floodplain. So there are options where you could use an engineer, and I would think that the county engineer could probably help us with this instead of hiring one, but I may be speaking out of turn on that one.
I don't
But-
think we'd be opposed to hiring.
Yeah, but you can do what's called a letter of map amendment and ask FEMA to take areas that you can show are high, dry, shouldn't be in the floodplain.
I've done it for
Okay.
a job
Okay,
before, so worked with FEMA, but okay.
yeah, so you could do that, and that's an option, and then that takes that permanently out of the floodplain. So, and that
But
was,
do we get wet in that corner?
Well,
not
I
bad.
so like, for instance, Mallory's comment was that's the gravel area, like, part of
it
the
is, yeah.
gravel area is in it, so that would,
Pass.
we would want that out, but
Yeah.
that area over there, I think it's a little wet, but not like the rest of it. It's definitely
Yeah.
higher than the other side.
That's what I was thinking.
So confused.
Okay, okay, so this is down
could
where
be
they
just my
put
day,
the,
my
where
head
they
is-
go, okay, so this is where we want to use, right? This is, part of it is the gravel, but the most of it is where we do the trailers, like the livestock trailers and everything, and over, if we can't camp all over here, some people go over there.
It's across the street from the campsite.
So that's not where we did it last time though, right?
We did the demolition derby over there,
Yeah.
But the rodeo we did prior. It was
Rodeo.
but this would be, I think the land over there is actually better. Yes.
I know,
wanna make
I personally went to one over here. I've heard that there was one over here.
I never
But
went
I
down over
didn't,
there,
I never
but
saw it,
can't
so when I
even-
think of it, I think of it over there.
Okay,
but-
and I was,
And
There
this
was one that they had twice in the big
This
field,
land's good, you know.
below,
I think we.
farther
Yeah,
out, below the
perfect FEMA there.
gravel parking lot down,
Yeah.
way out there farther. They had it 2 years, right?
Where they used to do the shotgun.
Shotgun rifle used to be out there when they did that. That's what.
Fairly wet. I think we'd have a better likelihood
Yeah.
with FEMA if we did this one versus out in the
Yeah.
wetter area.
yeah, you may have difficulty showing FEMA that.
Oh, yeah,
isn't
that is
that.
Flood.
yeah.
I think this area is a good area.
Mhm.
But we also have you going over the overlays. This is the wetlands and hydraulic soils.
Right, so the very last map in the packet, shows Department of State Land statewide wetland inventory. And they base that off of the type of soils and the probability that there could be wetlands out there.
Okay.
And so every time that an activity gets proposed in a potential wetland area, we have to send a notice to Department of State Lands. And they come back within 30 days with a determination of whether or not you might need permits. I know, Kyle, when we did the pre-app, I think there was discussion about temporary permits and removal, bringing infill and then removing it and restoring the site. And I think you remember that better than I do.
Yeah, and the other groups, they seemed all open to it, especially during the dry season.
Yeah.
But they wanted it, I can't recall exactly where we left it off. They had sent us some prior permits, but I think when I looked at it, none of them were actually for here. I think was one for the dog shelter. There was one for, I can't remember what they were. I think one was when they were considering using this field as a mitigation site for different county property.
Yeah.
But I didn't see one that was specifically for a rodeo or an event here. And that's kind of where we left it off and said, well, it's not gonna happen before the fair, so let's
Okay.
pick it back up after the fair.
Okay. So,
Fish and Wildlife basically said, we don't really care as long as no turbidity gets into the creek.
right, and from there, you shouldn't.
Right, especially if it's in August and September type of
Yeah.
thing. Fish and Wildlife or ODF had nothing to say about that because that didn't really affect them. And then DSL was like, well, it definitely seems like there's something that could be done, but
Okay.
of course they couldn't make any promises in a pre-app meeting.
So,
But some of the story has changed since then, like she mentioned, the July 15th.
Yeah, where our timeline is. kind of-
Pre-implementation.
So I guess, can we, possibly schedule a meeting about this? And then come up with our game plan on how we want to move forward with it
How we can get some kind of application
Yeah,
in by
that's-
November
yeah.
15th and what that would look like.
and what it would look like, yeah.
Yeah, so the application you need to get in by November 13th is a floodplain application.
Okay,
The amendments to your conditions, we can do anytime.
okay.
Yeah, but if you have a specific floodplain activity that's gonna happen
Yeah.
in the near future, your permit's good for 6 months. So if in the next 6 months, you know that something's gonna happen down there, submit your floodplain permit before November 13th.
so after November 13th, though, if it's only good for 6 months and we don't have that event for whatever, 8 months, 9 months.
I think the likelihood and the footwork will be in there, so whatever the mission decides to do going forward, maybe we'll have a foot in the door
But
already.
then it would be a changed thing, right? After the new rules.
So let's say November 12th, you submit your application for an event that's gonna happen 7 months out. That won't work because your permit's only good for 6 months. So then if you submit it on November 14th, you're in a moratorium and we won't issue any permits till the moratorium's lifted at the end of February. And then after the end of February, you will be subject to all the new rules and requirements.
Okay.
So
Do we know what all the new rules and requirements are? Yes or no? No?
not
Kind of.
100%. I can tell you that there are very few exceptions to the requirements and the fair will not fall under any of them, most likely. Depending upon what you're doing, if it's temporary events, it may be slightly different, but we don't know because FEMA hasn't given us any guidance on temporary events and how to handle them. If you're building a brand new structure down there or building a new parking lot, then you would have to go through mitigation requirements. So you're gonna have to compensate for the lack of
Yes.
impervious area.
Yeah,
Or pervious area. If you put up a building, you're gonna compensate for the lack of volume that you're taking up.
Yeah.
And if you remove any trees over 6 inches in diameter or greater, you have to replace the trees.
Okay.
So. And then any mitigation you do has to be maintained in perpetuity. So there are agreements and financial bonds or sureties that come along with that to make sure that you're maintaining your mitigation.
okay. So for us, if we wanted to have an event in, say, July, we really can't do anything.
Or we'd be having to talk about a May or June event.
It may, yeah.
It'd have to be, well, it'd have to be before that.
May
I
3rd,
mean,
right?
well, yeah, May 13th. Because assuming your permit is issued like right away, as soon as you do it, you know, it would go, your permit 6 months runs from the date the permit's issued. So if you submit November 12th, but the permit's not issued till December 12th, then that would put you out to June 12th with your permit.
This is my suggestion, is that we have a meeting, we go forward with trying to get it. If we can get it approved, we can do something. I mean, I don't know, we can,
Junior rodeo event.
yeah, we can
Something,
do a junior rodeo
yeah.
event. It would be the kickoff of the NJ Association rodeo. I mean, I've got a ton of kids that would come and run and do all of the things. That would give us a good understanding of kind of what we're dealing with. And then be able to, hopefully in February or whenever that happens, get the ball rolling for that other event.
I do have a question. Now, a conditional permit, does the county have the power to extend that permit?
So your conditional permit, which is this one that has all the conditions, once it's approved, it's initially good for 2 years. And if you don't start up your activity, you know, if the fairground had never been built, this
Mhm.
would have been void,
Right.
but it's in place forever now.
Right.
So once you
I
get
know
your
conditional
new
use
approvals,
permit, but the permit, like the temporary permit that we put in for, does the county have the power to extend it out?
Past the 6 months.
No.
They do not.
so, I mean, in your case, it's different. It's not like a building permit where you get your building permit and maybe you do the foundation in the first 6 months and then we can extend it so you can start the walls. I mean, this is basically for a time-specific event,
Okay.
so.
So then I do have,
So then it's, so say we, and maybe we need to take this off and do it as a
we do
separate
need to
meeting,
do
but
this because we are running out.
yeah.
Yeah, we're running out of time, but so this is awesome information and it gives us a lot to think about. And I really thank you for coming in today.
Yes.
It helped clear our heads a little bit of what we have coming and what we need to do and work on. Kyle, he's on it. I know that. Now we can just,
There's just so many things we're on.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I do have just like a quick question. So say we do it for November, we have an event in May, but we come back up, or so, okay, we do it in November, we have it for May, June, whatever. But we come back in February and say, hey, we have this event already planned, but now we're looking at doing this event a couple months after. You know, are we gonna have some sort of like
Grandfather.
grandfatheredness or anything
No.
showing like, hey, this is what we were able to do before? Are we gonna be able to do it again? Or is it just a clean blank slate, like,
One and
good
done.
for you for doing it, but doesn't matter now?
Yeah, after February, you're gonna be under the new regulations.
So we don't even know what those regulations are, right?
I can tell you they will be onerous, but it's gonna involve somebody analyzing. So let's say you're gonna put up a fence and you're gonna set up bleachers and you're gonna have pull-in vendors with concessions and I don't know what else you might do
Yeah.
out there, but, and we'll call it a rodeo just for
Yeah.
fun. So all of those things will come in on your permit. Somebody, whether, if it's the model ordinance, it's gonna have to be staff who does it. If it's habitat assessment, it'll be the fair that is doing it. Is gonna have to look at the impacts that the fence, the bleachers, the temporary vendors, the porta potties might have on fish habitat and fish egress and things that we don't normally deal with. They're outside of the floodplain. I mean, not literally, but outside of the scope of floodplain work, which is looking at protecting structures. The new rules are looking at protecting endangered species and habitat. So if there's gonna be an impact on any type of threatened or endangered species because you put a fence up and put some bleachers up and brought in mobile vendors, then you have to mitigate for that. And I honestly, I don't know how our staff is going to do this. We don't have that technical knowledge. I don't know how to walk out into that field and do a habitat
I
assessment
think that.
or look at
probably in-
hydraulics.
In the bigger scheme of things, in our strategic plan, we probably would have it all have a habitat evaluation done anyways, to
Yeah.
see what all parts of our property we could possibly use at some point in time. I would
There
assume.
was some of that in the prior master plan where I think that was like the next steps that the fair
Yeah.
was supposed to take on.
Yeah,
They did some preliminary work, but you could spend your whole money, your whole budget on just that piece.
I know, but
I feel like one of the ironic things about the whole thing is that it's an agricultural wetland and we could literally till up the whole field.
Yeah, I mean, it's two separate things, the
Right.
wetlands and the floodplain, they just
Right.
happen to overlap, but
Right.
two sets of rules completely different. So, we are having another discussion with the board on November sixth to hopefully have the board give us direction, which path they want to pick. And then potentially November 13th is when they would vote on the moratorium and it would become effective immediately. So,
if we built an arena down there as a permanent structure before we put in our application to do that prior to, and it becomes a permanent structure. Does that take us out of that volley then? Then it's a permanent structure that we can hold the same events in over and over again.
yeah, so then if you submitted a permit to build your new arena by November 13th, you would be in under the old rules. So then you would have 6 months to start construction. Once you start construction, then we can have the ability to extend the building permits. The events then that are inside, we wouldn't look at them in terms of floodplain issues, just to make sure that they are consistent with your conditional use approval.
And what's considered a permanent structure?
Well, depending on whether you're looking at building codes or who you ask, but, you know, it's something that is there on site more than 6 months. So, and at that point, it needs to be anchored, because you're in the floodplain, so you're gonna have engineering costs. I mean, that's really what we would consider permanent, something that's there more than 6 months.
Is that really blurry or am I just like?
It's
No,
blurry.
Okay, okay.
I was
Okay.
just trying to look up
Day.
what a typical size of a rodeo arena was.
Yeah, is it an enclosed arena?
No.
Well, does it have to be? That's where I was going with this. Can it
Well,
be a roofed, non-walled permanent structure?
it can be a roof, non-walled, permanent structure.
I mean, even if it was the corral with the fencing
The arena itself.
and maybe a
permanent.
bleacher or something. I mean,
So
I don't know how we would get that done in 6 months, but we can look into it.
We can
Yeah.
try. Where there's a will,
We can do it.
Then you
Yeah.
said start it.
So-
We can get it. Yeah, we
we
can
just,
make it.
I think to consider it part of the permit, we would just have, I'm actually have a little help here now. Courtney is helping. We would have to break down, or just break ground within the 6 month period of time for the permanent structure to happen.
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
Done.
Yeah,
Okay.
so depending on what the structure is, I mean, if it's just a fence,
No, mm-mm.
okay,
We would need an
Yeah.
anchored structure, so I know exactly what that means.
Yeah.
is
I
it,
purposely didn't anchor down one of my hay barns, so it's not permanent.
So you're just talking like a.
No, I mean, we can
No, a roof-
do something
a
with
roof
that.
with No sides.
Even if we started with, you know, just the arena itself and put a roof
Yeah.
on
Kinda like
later,
over here.
that would be fine, but as long as
But
it's a
much nicer.
structure
Yeah,
built.
yeah.
so once you add the roof on, so right now, if you start with something that's poles to define a space.
Yeah.
And then the new rules come into effect and you decide to put a roof over it,
It messes with things. so
that's
we have
gonna,
to do
you're
part
gonna
of
be
that part of
subject
our
to the
plan.
rules, cause
Yeah,
now
okay.
you're diverting water in the floodplain.
So our permit would need to be for the whole
Yes.
deal, but you know, as long as we break ground within that 6 months, we fall into the permit area. We don't have to go and get re-permitted to do our original plan.
Right, for the
Okay.
building, the one piece that is unclear right now, and FEMA's not giving us guidance, is. Say you've got the roof structure, it's not paved, it's just dirt. I don't know if every time you have an event there, that's gonna be a separate permit, we wouldn't know, but it's unclear under the new regulations how that's gonna be handled.
And it's not certain that even with the new regulations that what we want to do wouldn't be doable. It just will require us to do that habitat assessment or whatever.
Which we.
Depending on what they find when they do that assessment will change everything,
Okay,
right?
that, we went
Yeah.
well over our 10-minute
Yeah.
allotment.
Okay, no, I
But you know what?
appreciate your
But it was
time.
Really great information. I really appreciate you
I-
coming,
I am-
especially with all that.
Happy to come back and talk for hours about this.
I could probably talk for a long time about it too. This is the stuff I geek out over.
Thank you.
Does anybody want an extra set of
Thank you so much.
papers?
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
I
you're welcome.
will give you a call and we'll figure out what we need to do for next steps.
We
I'll
scheduled.
give you a call and we'll figure out what we need to do for next steps.
Thank you
You're
so
welcome,
much.
thank you. You need to try to get that little area out of the flood zone hazard area.
Okay,
Right, so that one,
very good information.
just so.
Yeah, I think we should kind of schedule a meeting, Kyle, so we can all talk about what, what the plan is and how we can advocate and help for this.
Okay.
It's a lot, it's a lot.
It's a lot, but it's necessary, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure.
Let me put this on the calendar here.
Okay, that was cool.
Yeah.
Pretty, thank you.
You too.
Okay. Next up in our work session is events and rolling calendar, which Kyle's gonna add to right now.
Yeah, just added to the rolling calendar. There was something else that I was thinking about on the rolling calendar for November. Was talking about arena signs, because we'll need to get those renewals out for the first of the year. Do you have any questions on the events? I do want to note that the Astoria High School basketball fundraiser, they have provided the fair board with a table.
Oh, cool.
Aw.
That would be a fun one. Okay.
Yeah, I would,
That would be nice.
I have a letter from them. I did not grab it with all these other documents, but
he sent me the thing.
that is also the final day of the convention also. Oh,
October 19th.
yes. The rough stock event is the big one. And then going down to December 14th, flat track motorcycle race is another pretty cool private event. That's a good public event that will be helping them promote, but it's a private thing.
Did we set up an event you did for the Rough Stock Rodeo, right?
Yes, on
Okay.
Facebook.
Yeah. Are you also doing the online ticketing for that?
Yes, all of that is out. What we are very close to, we got the sponsor and the updated graphic. I think there's some updated flyers there. We'll get that updated on the event and then we'll do
I'll take some of those.
the boosted and ad manager stuff through Facebook and we'll start pushing that out.
Do we know where
Do
we
you want me to bring those to chamber tomorrow?
are at as
CC chamber.
interested on the Facebook? Do you know? The Rough Stock event? Where we're at?
It says Clash of the Cowboys, at the
Okay.
Clatsop County Fair. There is it.
7 trusted, that's decent. We should start resharing this again.
Yeah,
though.
and
Pick back
so
up.
when I talked with Dusty, and which we have a whole section on the rough stock
Yeah.
thing we can talk about.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll go through that when we get to that.
perfect.
I'm trying to think of some other stuff. The open rides have called. They're gonna want to start riding again. The archery club called and they want to coordinate. They're talking about maybe doing a different day of the week this year. So I need to coordinate with the dog club and the open rides. But I really think we should open up the open rides to basically anytime we're here.
Yes, also, OSET, they will want it. I need to get dates figured out, but I'm thinking they're wanting it, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I believe, for practice, but I will double check on that.
The
And
rolling
that
calendar,
benefits the whole county.
as far as meeting for a land use thing, when are you guys thinking? Like next week or?
Can we give it 2 weeks? So we have enough time to kind of go through all of the stuff.
You
Do-
can, and so next Wednesday, the 9th is our joint session.
Yes.
And then the following week is the beginning of convention, so if it happens, obviously the early part of the week.
Okay, that's fine with me. I just don't want to slam too much into one week.
November meeting, talk more rough stuff, talk about the tax measure again, because we'll need to be chugging through with that.
Yes.
I have facility walkthrough on here. I don't think we're gonna get to that this week, but if we want to do a special meeting for that,
Yeah, let's
or
do
if we
that.
want to try to bite off little bits at a time.
Let's just do a special meeting before it starts raining a lot.
Yeah.
That way we can do it and that's all we're gonna do is do the walkthrough and then. And I would like for all board members,
Yeah,
it's not a lot of us right now, but, to be present for that as well.
and then I plan to start working on this RFP for the strategic plan to bring you a draft of the RFP before we send it out.
Cool.
So we can get the ball rolling on that.
Perfect.
Super not fair board related at all, but does anyone have that though? Or they actually
I do.
don't
I have
know
it
if I can
now.
handle it.
I got you. I just wrote that to it.
I'm so sorry.
You're okay. I get it.
I have time.
That was it Thursday of last week? I was in a bad way.
Headaches are the worst.
Between my car breaking down today multiple times, the forces in the back and everything else. Yeah, my hand is full.
Okay.
Are we done with going down?
I think so, unless you have anything else to add.
We don't. Okay, we're moving on to fair board applicants.
In joint session prep, it's so I provided you all with the applicants, as they came in, not, or around when they came in, but I've
Yeah.
also put them all in this packet combined. 6 applicants, so that's pretty good. We have these 3 items that are listed in the MOU with the county for discussing at the joint session. What I've been told is the plan for the county is to basically spend the majority of you all's joint session interviewing these applicants. So they want these applicants to come in and then basically collectively as the board and the fair board
Okay, that's
to
awesome.
work with to review these applicants.
We got that newest one is a really good one too. I think, we have some good
I think, yeah,
applicants.
they're all
so,
great. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
it's gonna be a
exciting.
tough call. I'm glad it's not my decision to make. Sorry.
Okay,
So how many spots do we have open?
2.
And we can't have more than 2, correct?
I don't think we should at this point
Okay.
in time.
Okay.
Either that could be something that gets discussed with
Later,
the
yeah.
strategic plan. There
Well,
are,
we have in our bylaws, the opportunity to open up
Up
to
to
7, right? So, but I think right now, let's structure our 5, what we've been ran at.
Mhm.
And then feel how we go from there. If we want to add more seats, we totally could.
yeah, and I think that's something that you would update your charter and then you would take that back to the county and
Yeah,
do that piece.
awesome.
I don't know if there's much to discuss, but at this point, but if you want to go through any of these, because you're gonna, really be diving deep into this
I have
on
gone
the
through every
9th.
single one of them and I've done all of my research, so I'm ready for next week.
Cool.
How about you? You good? Yeah. Good, there's only 3 of us, so.
Right? It's, okay,
OFA convention plan. Nope,
Nope,
fair date.
fair
I was
dates.
trying to skip something.
So this is a tough one to discuss with only 2 members, and it's really even a tough one to discuss with 3 members. But at the same time, it's really important for us to be able to moving forward with planning, especially with us going to convention in 2 weeks. And we're trying to book talent, trying to book acts and making those decisions. Are we doing a 4-day fair? Are we doing a 5-day fair? And then if there's some type of engagement plan that we want to have to be discussing these things more broadly. It seemed like there was
We reach out to 4-H about the 4-day fair.
I've talked with them about it. They're fine with it. It won't change anything that they're doing. I
Okay,
fairly discussed with it with Sandra and Julie yesterday when they were here setting up. I said, what we don't really know is what we're going to be doing for those days. It wouldn't really change anything for their program at all, but if it was something that we were going to do like indefinitely in the future, it may want to start looking at how they would adjust their
Restructure it.
program,
So
but I don't think that would affect anything with this
So-
first year.
my question would be, for everybody that wants to come, like say Tuesday night, it's not gonna be open to the public, but for everybody that wants to come watch the pig show,
Yeah,
they can still come.
the
Yeah.
property would just be open.
Open, they could get in for free.
The chicken coop be open. Okay,
Yeah.
good, cause I tend to get
That
hungry.
would be the first thing.
Yeah, I think we would still run it like an event day,
Okay,
but because there'll be so many people on the property, we would still want to have some security and some janitorial services on
oh,
site.
yeah,
But as far as not having all of the admissions running, all of the vendors here requiring all of the entertainment, I think it's gonna save us a little bit of money in the entertainment costs, but it's also going to open the door up for some vendors that basically are really turned off on having to be here for 5 days.
Yeah. I think that's not a bad
I
idea.
think we should go, I mean, in my opinion, and we know I have those, I think we should go to a 4-day fair.
I think so too.
I think we also need to open up the opportunity for people to come in for just the weekend, like smaller vendors, not the big ones that are gonna be, big food carts, they need to be in place, but
Yeah,
as far as like maybe smaller vendors, opening up an opportunity because a lot of people can't get off work during the week. So, okay. Have you gotten any response back from Rainier?
She sent me a message and I didn't have a physical phone call with her. She said, because my message to her said, are you going to be available the dates of our fair this year, the
Mhm.
July 29th or 30th through the second, whichever, our normal days. Said, if not, are there other days this year that would work or in other years that would work? And she said, not available the days of your fair this year. It's possible that we could be available either the week before or she didn't say 2 weeks after, she said, or after Tillamook.
Which is
In
state fair.
2026.
So if we had to do anything, we'd have to bump it into July.
1 week up
Yeah, you can't put these kids back to back, going
on the
from
fair.
regular fair to state fair, back to back like that. It would be impossible for them, our county kids.
Yeah,
That's a lot. But I mean, so I think, I believe, I mean, not this year because we kind of we're set in stone already. I believe if we're gonna move our fair for 2026, let's do it.
yeah.
Let's just
so
commit and get it done.
when she sent that message, I responded right back because I was trying to get some clarity, like if it wasn't particularly this year, not knowing that that's not what we're doing, just saying, is that
Yeah.
even
Just
part
to
of the
feel it out.
conversation? I said, but the end part of her message said, it's still too early for her to commit to a 2026 date. So my response was, what would you need from us, like, for
Yeah.
a commitment? Because if we're gonna make this move, we need
That's a
to be
big
doing
move.
the public engagement,
Yeah.
like, as soon as possible. And so I haven't heard from her. She will be at the conference.
Okay.
So I'll be able to have a meeting with her and I can call her again. And I still want to talk to the rest of the operators as well.
Well, what do you think too about just having them come in for Thursday, Friday, Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'd take anything we could get,
Yeah.
right?
I
Anything that we
think,
could get.
that would open up, a little bit more opportunity for them. And we're
I can,
already, if we are already down to a 4-day fair, I mean, that's only one day without rides. It's the opening day, which we could do events and cool stuff that day to distract everybody anyway.
yeah,
What about the butcher though? If you move the back of it, we have a butcher who's already got another fair that week.
Well, we're gonna have to figure something out. I don't know what.
That's not the fair board's
Yeah,
problem, that's the auction committee's problem.
it's tough. There will definitely be unhappy people and happy people, either way.
We have to balance it. We have to listen to our community members as well. And, the only thing that keeps us going is the community coming through our doors. And we want to keep this going for 4-H, for FFA. And so you know, is it frustrating to think about having to move our fair? Yeah, it is. There's a lot of things that will affect with like the market or the auction committee, breeders, the whole nine. It's a hard, change is hard. But if we want to keep the doors open for this, we've got to do something.
Yeah.
And we got to listen to our community.
Yeah, and if you sit there and you look at, the numbers for kids selling their animals, and we're gonna base off of getting a butcher. There's more than one butcher, we have to look at the kids. We can't just
yeah.
say, sorry, this is all we can do. The kids are getting what they're getting because we have to follow this. It's,
More than a year.
huh?
Yeah, it's not, if we
Yeah.
have more than, exactly.
Yeah.
If we have more than a year to start reaching, well, we don't, but if we give our notice of change to everybody and let them know a year in advance, that's a lot of time to do some research. And if they don't want to do it, then we'll have to see if somebody will build a committee that will.
So yeah, they're still talking with other carnival operators. We keep praying that it'll happen. I think if we could do either, I'm not sure what we could do. We could either do like an RFP and send it to all of the carnival people to try to like force the issue with them and say, look, this is what we're asking for you to bid on
Is
this.
that normal?
It is, yeah. It's typically they'll do an RFP and they'll do like ask for like a 3-year contract. That's what
Well,
the
then we should
majority
do that.
of the other fairs are doing. I mean, at this point, we've just been trying to find somebody that will even give us an offer.
Because we know
separate
that it
than
is hard
doing,
because we know our fair week is a hard week for
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
We've known that. And so now we just need to get to where we're gonna make the change.
But if we're actually going to go to a date that is likely available for a handful of operators,
Yeah.
doing that
Yeah.
procurement process should be valuable.
Beneficial.
Yeah,
Do we need to put this moving from 5 to 4 days on our next meetings?
I think so. It's.
I would like
I
to see
think
that on there.
It's definitely something that's good to discuss now and to know that you're strongly moving that way. That helps me as I'm going in, which is the next one, convention plans, right? Trying to figure out how we're gonna start planning this next fair and trying to get way ahead of it.
Yeah. Well, I
But,
am very strongly hoping that we can move to the 4-day. This 2025.
I think our vendors and our entertainers will be very happy about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do too.
The public engagement plans related to future opportunities, no matter what we do, there's gonna be people that are happy and people that are gonna be unhappy. And
That's
just talking about what we wanna do to try to prepare ourselves in advance of making some kind of announcement or going through some kind of process. But this is something that'd be great for you to have ready to discuss next week when you're going to the county to say, hey, these are the things that we're talking about.
I do think that we need to remember that if we are considering changing fair dates for 2026, we cannot procrastinate on this. It has to be something that we need to, I mean, I am saying a year in advance because it does take a lot of work.
Yeah.
For everybody to make the necessary changes and plans coming up. So I think if we want to do it,
Like a January, hopefully, at the latest.
I would say even December, but we need to do it.
I'd love to get a commitment from a carnival
Yeah.
person or a
And
contract.
you will see people here, right?
Yes,
Then we'll consider putting an RFP out.
yeah,
Okay.
very good.
Okay, next up is OFA convention plans.
Right, so this is the agenda packet. They finally released like a formal final version. Still not sure if any of you all are planning on going. And if you are, trying to coordinate those plans for you, but
Which there was a digital version. So I would love to go to some of these, but we have a lot going on right now. I have grandbaby coming, so.
Where's that?
it's the colorful pages.
17th and-
That's something I can take to the convention to the association and tell them if we could have some virtual options.
I
it'd
would
be
love
great.
that, very much so.
It's in Redmond. Yeah,
I would not be able to go. Owen has a clinic on the 19th.
and the following year will be in Washington County.
Oh, that's way easier. But even so, it would be awesome if you would bring it up.
Yeah, I mean,
About-
I would, yeah.
I'm bummed that can you guess, if I tell you what classes I'm interested in, if you happen to be in those classes, will you get me some of the documentation?
Yeah, so that was the other part, was not knowing what y'all's plans were, but you know, if you had particular goals for myself or Kristen for that, we
Yeah,
would
that'd be
certainly try.
awesome.
I mean, we have our own goals as well, but you
Yeah,
know, we
just
wanna
kinda give
definitely
a
try
highlight
to
of what
work for
we-
you guys.
Yeah, okay, I will send you my list.
Yeah, I will go through this and highlight the things that I'd be interested in and then if it matches up or however it works out.
And one of the things we've been trying to push through for the convention is basically like a digital library of all of these events,
Yeah.
because even as us managers going to this, like, we wanna go
But you can't.
to
do
two
it
events,
all.
we can only go to
back,
one
yeah.
at a
Yeah,
time,
the
and there
work
may be
session.
two events happening or three of them happening at the same time. If you had the slides available and the cards and the handouts all scanned in, and there was like a QR code or in a packet or something, that would be very valuable for all of us.
Okay,
But they have a great show put together, and they're trying to make it more easy to go to. Like, it starts half day on Thursday, full day Friday, and then half day on Saturday. They wanted to give people some of their weekend back. That was turning into something they noticed was an issue, was,
I'd rather burn my weekend doing something like this.
well, they were having a lot of people, like,
the
people that
workday.
work for the fair all week, and then now they're at the convention and they've got their kids that are doing things on the weekends, and so they were leaving early.
Oh, that sucks. Okay.
Circling back real quick on the fair dates thing,
Mhm.
and this is another big part of the discussion that needs to be had, but we really should be talking about what our budget looks like for that before going into the budget season. Cause we've really just been like throwing numbers at it that were like past years, but I think if we were able to look at it a little bit better this year, cause like last year, here's the budget, but the budget really wasn't a
I think we've been basing
number
it
based off of a real thing.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, there's money left in the budget, like, but the budget was not really what it should have been, you know?
Yeah. Okay,
So that's a big thing that'll help us roadmap it. And I can try to break it out into like the concert's one piece, the services are another piece, and then our entertainment is another piece.
do you want to do a special meeting for that or put that in a work session?
I think it's a work session, and then it's
Okay.
maybe part of the decision. The decision on the 4 or 5 days affects the budget.
Okay. Next up is Flash of the Cowboys update.
Okay. Do you wanna take the lead on it, Mallory, or would you like me to? I know your head's a little out of it.
No, I can. No, it's been really fun to connect with a lot of people in the community and there are a ton of people that are really excited for it. We've gotten, I think, about $22,000 so far worth of sponsorships. Few people, haven't ever really participated in sponsorships up here before. People haven't had banners, so they don't have a banner available, and we've been able to hook them up with getting the banner, so they're excited to have that made so they can use it for other things now. And I think that we're gonna have the vendors in here. We have a roping competition. We had so many people that want to sponsor that we actually had to make custom sponsors for higher dollar amounts because they didn't want to just be an arena banner sponsor. So we were able to get a dummy roping sponsor. So we'll have a dummy roping competition for kids. And we'll have a few FFA kids coming in to help me run that. There's 2 age groups. I have a sponsor for it that is sponsoring 2 belt buckles for first place for each age division.
That's cute.
They're adorable. I just approved the artwork with Molly's custom
I know
buckles and they are so cute. And then we've got a mechanical bull sponsor that came in and said they'd be happy to do that. So
Good.
we have a mechanical bull that will be set up. We have food. We've got, I believe we'll have
Oh.
3.
We're planning on 2 or 3 food trucks. We haven't gotten anybody locked in, but I'm sure that there'll be people that'll be excited to do it. We have some people in mind. We were talking about, barbecue, either the Repair 3 or Rob, see if he can do it, or the Hawaiian barbecue. I'm not sure if you want
Yes.
both of those.
That's what I'm hoping to get is the Hawaiian people,
Warrenton?
in Astoria.
We haven't talked with them yet though, so.
Yeah, yes, yes. So I'm hoping to get them.
That's the one you were telling me about. Okay.
And then, what was that?
Yeah, Peggy.
He does yeah,
So,
barbecue.
Barbecue, yeah, he does all of our events for Teban.
yes, so we're hoping to have a few food trucks. Those aren't like locked in place yet, but I don't think will have any problem coming. We're trying to make it very affordable for them to come in and test it out and figure it out.
Yeah.
We've already have a handful of vendors that are gonna be in this space, set up as well, so that we'll have the doors kind of
Yeah.
open to come in here around like 4 o'clock. Where they can come shop and do the competition and listen to music and do the mechanical bull riding. And then we'll have the doors open up over there, about 6 o'clock for people to go find their seats and whatnot. And
Yeah, and then Josh will run the concession stand.
Yep.
OBS will be here working with them on menu. I think we've been eyeballing it. I think we have room for like 8 booths on this side. And then 4 along the back wall, and then 1 in the corner, maybe a extra large one in the corner. So what's that? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 vendors, spots for about 13 vendors. We've talked with the aunties about doing face painting. So they're good to go. They're happy to come and sign up. So that'll be one of the booths. We've been working on the application today, so the application should be done and pushed out ASAP. And then we'll work with the food vendors. We worked with county council to allow us to use a waiver instead of having to require insurance, just to help try to keep the bar as low as possible.
Yeah.
And that's how we kind of worded it, even like today I've been working on the application and updating our fair handbook and like really scaling it back for this event. But there's a whole part in there talking about, this is trying to keep the bar low. This is an exploratory thing. We want people to be successful.
Sure.
We will want to know like their sales so that we can gauge how successful it was. Yeah, we should be getting that out
Cool.
tomorrow, hopefully. The plan for marketing, we have 50 signs that I will be hopefully spending most of the afternoon tomorrow putting out. We've got the flyers now that are ready to go. We'll start posting those up. This is about the perfect time to be setting flyers out. We're getting to be 4 to 5 weeks out from the event.
And, before Halloween where everybody's walking.
Yeah, that's true. We have all of the email addresses, so if we can do a non-offensive email that people will actually want to look at, hopefully we can at least
I
hit
think-
500-600 people with that.
Like, every now and then doing an email is fine. It's just the ones when you're getting them every week.
3 days, 3 times
Oh,
a day.
I had a shop, not saying what it was, that I got something from and they were new and then I started getting them daily.
I also talked to the schools about, a lot of the kids have, the opportunity to like get their little sheets and take them home and whatnot. And
Yeah.
so the school said that they would pass those out in the classrooms for kids to take home. Which, if you have a younger kid and they come home with something they get really excited about, they will have it in your face in no time. So I think
Or
that
you
would be a
could be
fun
like my daughter
opportunity.
and you'll find it 6 months later in the bottom of the backpack.
Well, if they're excited about it, because there's
Addie's
things.
Addie's excited about everything. She just doesn't, just leaves it all in her
There's
backpack.
things that stay in there and then there's other things get
Okay.
in my face.
So
So
we'll
I missed the.
boost the event
Yeah.
on Meta and look to see how that comes out.
Yeah.
And if we need to add ad manager stuff on top of that,
Cool.
we'll work with the radio to start doing some giveaways and then the flyers that
Okay.
we've got going. So it's coming along. I think hopefully the same excitement for sponsorship transfers into, yes, we did. That's like the one you saw when you pulled in.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was
I put-
really in my head.
I put a couple out, in
I get
Seaside.
I was just saying, I seen one today in front of Mallory's Bank.
I need some.
How did it
I
look?
I literally, it was
Yeah.
like the day they were made. I was up here. So,
Yeah. I have some we can give you, but this, trying to know where they are. I don't know. Even like 2 weeks ago, I was still pulling up fair sign, like, I
Um,
don't know who put that one out, but.
that was me. Finally, someone's like, you really need, I was like, every day I come into work and I go, I need to go pull those out. And then I sit down and then I leave and I'm like, shoot.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're feeling good about it though. Like I said, hopefully the same enthusiasm for the sponsorship transfers to.
And I think the
Sales.
sponsors that are really excited about it are posting
Pushing
it
it.
and doing a good job of like putting it all out there too,
so
which
it's
is
kind of
exciting.
fallen off my role on Facebook, so I think we just need
Yeah.
another kick around.
We really
yeah,
haven't done anything, but
Yeah, since the
announced it.
originating
Yeah.
post, so and that spun for a while, so I mean, if you have 400 interests already with one go around push.
yeah,
If we do another good one and
it's
targeted
and
marketing.
Dusty had said, Dusty's with Howell Road, he was like. You'll get some interest, he goes, but even if, it's for your venue, because even if you sell 300 tickets in advance, you're doing good. He's like, I haven't not sold one of these out in like a couple years.
Okay,
He did have some other suggestions, like, not starting off with it, but eventually doing like a like and share to enter into a chance to win tickets, those types of things, to try to get more and more followers to our page. And the more
Yeah.
followers we have, if every person shares it to 10 people.
The other thing that you can do, everyone in this room could do, is I went in and I did invite.
I did a lot of that.
Well, you can just do invite all. And there was, I don't know if you had watched that happen right before fair, but there was a ton of people that started following.
I'm
at
not
that point.
sure who I have on my Facebook, and I don't know if I want them to be there. So invite all may not be an option for me.
Just to like the page.
Okay.
So
I would gladly take 2 or 3 of those and put one up at Camp 18 and Bakers and
Yes.
Elderberry tomorrow.
Awesome.
absolutely.
And
Would
then
you
I go to
yard
Jewel
signs?
every single day.
Those
So
yard
if you
signs?
had a stack of things for the kids,
Yeah.
because I also drive school bus, and I can tell you that last year when the whole circus thing went down and they got,
Yeah,
I mean, there was little kids that's all they could talk about. They
exactly.
were going to the circus.
Exactly, yeah. Okay,
So-
well, I'll do that. I got you.
Okay, we've gotta keep moving here. We
We
aren't,
had Silly walk through, I think,
We're
we'll work on a
scheduling.
special meeting.
okay, all right.
We're trying to clean stuff up. When we walked through with 4-H yesterday to talk about the inventory, that we cleared up who owns some items. We spent some time in the bathroom scrubbing the walls and they look
Much better.
much better. There's still some dust on the grout, like up high, because we don't want to hose the whole dang wall down, but
Yeah.
we're gonna figure that out. It's just dust. The scuffs and the stains and stuff all came off pretty well
Good.
though.
Okay. I'm gonna call to order the Clatsop County Fair Board October 1st regular meeting. Roll call, Mallory Lighthouser is present, Sarah Finn present. Matt is absent and we were new about it. All that does. Next up is the agenda approval. Somebody like to make a motion to approve the agenda?
Can we even do that?
Yes,
There's two of you.
Two of us.
It's a quorum, it's a
or
two.
2/3.
I will make a motion to approve the October 1st agenda.
Great, I'll second that. Beautiful, thanks. Okay, first up is public comment. At this time, anyone wishing to address the Fair Board concerning items of interest on or off the agenda may do so. The person addressing the Fair Board will, when recognized, give their name and address for the record. All remarks will be addressed to the whole board and limited to 3 minutes per person. Fair Board members reserve the right to delay any action if required, and until such time when they are fully informed and the matter is scheduled as an agenda item. And I will also add again, that if this is in regards to something that has to do with auction committee, any direction toward 4-H or direction towards FFA, please address them. So anybody want to talk? You don't have to speak there with the agenda. You're an agenda item, so you can wait. Nobody, no public comment tonight? On the consent calendar, we have to approve the 9/3/2024 minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve 9/3/2024 minutes.
I
Meeting
second. All in favor?
I,
Do we have to say that? So speak first and seconds?
yeah,
Okay, whatever.
all opposed.
All opposed? Okay. Board member report? Mallory, do you have a report?
I think that I pretty much already talked all about it with the event. Yeah, I am very excited about it and I think it's gonna be absolutely awesome.
I think it is too. Sarah? I have nothing at this time. Um,
I have a ton.
manager's report.
I'd start off by just really thanking Mallory for all of the hard work you've done. I really appreciate it. I didn't necessarily expect you to have to carry so much of the load on this, but I think you've been very enthusiastic about it and it's helped. And I think it's also great that we've been able to reach out into that part of our community and get them involved. So
Yeah.
hopefully we can continue to build more and more and more on that.
That's awesome.
I already told you about the basketball team event sponsorship. I wanted to remind you guys about the tax measure and how we need to work on that and have it on the calendar again for next month. I do have some work to do with the clerk to figure out what that means, what we need to do, but really talking about what did we do with the funding over the last period and what we plan to do with the money over the next period is what we need to be discussing as a board. We are wanting to knock out our contract update comp review and just letting you know that's on our radar still, basically the other fairs and venues doing their comps, talking about their services, their fees and their rules. That's something that's gonna really help you, Kristen and myself, as we deal with all of the off-season business, so we'd love to get that done. Horse stalls, I have talked with Fitzgerald, he's working on quotes for us. Told him we need to get the order coming because we're gonna have horse shows that are gonna be coming in the first of the year, so we'll need to have those done. But we would like to look at some lighter weight stuff for barn C. And he said there are some options from either composite panels, plywood panels, stalls, solid steel stalls. He was going to send us some options to review. Told him, barns A and B, we want to get those all the same type, the heavy duty with the 2x6s, but for barn C, it would be great if it was much easier for people to be able to set up and take down, because ideally they're being set up and taken down several times a year. And not really, there's really only 2 or 3 days a year that there'd be horses in them. The
Yeah.
rest of the time, it'd be great to use for storage or other events.
I'm gonna add to that really quickly, and it's just kind of like quote unquote horse related, whatever. We are trying to do barrels for the event as well, and shout out to Kyle and Kelly. I have never seen the arena be that nice before. That's coming from a horse person.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I think that it will work to be able to do barrels as well, so that's exciting. For the bulls and broncs. So we're trying to figure it out right now. I'm not quite solid yet. We came and tested the arena, made some runs in it. So we think the operator can get like rodeo gals to come and do the barrel racing as long as the prize money is right. But we would like to have local opportunities, so maybe there's a little bit of both. Says, there's trade-offs, having the only,
pros, they can kind of make it work, right?
well, so this is the biggest concern is you can barrel race, you can go to barrel races all week long, whatever. You get in an environment like that and it's a whole different ballgame. It is loud, there's gonna be animals in the stalks. It's a totally different ballgame. And so when I tried to talk to him about me trying to facilitate getting the riders, there was a lot of stress in that realm. So that's kind of where we're like a little touchy on it. He
Right.
really didn't want necessarily kids in there, and I'm kind of like, well, there are kids that can ride really well and the community would love to watch them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the trade-off with the locals, you have basically built-in fans and advertising
Yeah.
with having locals, so,
That would really reel some people in.
Yes, so.
so.
You could even do like an announcement of what kids are gonna ride. You know, like as if the parents give sign offs to be able to post, come see
Yeah,
Owen. He's
Yeah.
gonna be barrel racing at the, you know, whatever we're calling it. Cowboy Cup or something.
Yeah, so we're working on it. If it is something that I can really take on, what will probably happen is we will put it out there and there will be stipulations and the entry fees are. He's making him, or not it's pretty steep, but hopefully there's more to come out on that. So we'll see.
We're
But
working on it.
the ground is so much better and that was my point. So yay for the ground.
I mentioned to Kelly about, as I was researching how to do this ground, and really at the convention, that's a whole session. This guy's like this dirt guru.
Really?
But they have groomers where the water tank is built
Is
in.
built, yeah.
And that kid saved us a ton of time, like
Yeah.
a ton of,
Yeah.
like, he says it takes him about an hour to wet it, but when he's wetting it, he's really just kind of.
Yeah, it's
He's
not
dust
actually
control.
soaking it. Yeah.
For me to, when I went out there and did it, I think it took me, it took me 2 days to get it done because I was bouncing around between, I mean, we had some meetings and there were some other meetings I had to go to. I think it was probably close to 5 hours. for
And
me
it's
to get it
hard
done.
for that ground because you can't get it too wet or it's going to be slick.
It's a fine line.
So if you could wet it in right as you're dragging with the tractor and do a little bit at a time, and
Yeah.
it would save a ton of time.
It'll be huge for OSET too for this year, to be able to practice in a very nice arena and not have to stress.
Been working with horse camping, we can totally do it, they had to be camping on site and they gotta fill out a waiver, been going between the insurance and the attorney on just this one piece with recreational immunity. She says, use your standard recreational immunity language, like, we don't have it, so trying to figure out what that looks like.
Okay.
To put that into the waiver, and then we can really advertise
Okay.
horse camping, and really, we can advertise our camping better as well. I think we should look at our camping rules
Rates
as a
and the
whole
rules,
before we
yeah.
really open that door. Yeah, there's definitely different levels of campers.
For sure.
I will want to bring to you guys the marketing results. I sat down with Cherny from Ohana Digital and went over both the Ohana results and what I had with John Paul. John Paul bought the 94.3. Her opinion looking at both programs, she says they both did really well. They did both kind of broach different markets and demos. But I can bring you guys those slides and we can look at them in detail. And she said she'd be happy to come in and talk. She said she may even be willing to be on our marketing committee. So that's a little tricky because she's also a vendor, but
Yeah, and.
she wants to see us be
pushes for-
successful.
I know, I hope so, because she pushes for one way of marketing and that always makes me wary, but it definitely would be nice to hear what she has to say.
I think what I saw from it was we definitely need a smaller radius. I think our budget was fine, but since we had such a short window, we had to really expand our
Oh.
boundary to spend the dollars. And so a lot of our traffic ended up in Washington County, like vast majority of it, which isn't gonna do us that much good.
Some, but not that
Right.
much.
I would like to see the smaller number be there and the bigger number be here.
Yeah,
But that just is a function of us starting much earlier as well.
okay.
I'm talking about a spring event with the arena floor down, if it's a concert, if it's a tribute show, if it's a national act. I want to be discussing that sooner and later to kick that off. I did reach out to, What-
National.
yeah, so like, we were talking about, when we were looking at the bands, about somebody from the under 10K list.
Yeah.
I mean, that's right in what we were paying, what we paid for Fleetwood Mac tribute. I think we paid 75 for them alone.
I think we should do the.
I think we should do something in there that I think it was a lot of fun. I think we learned a couple different things. I thought it was great.
I think we should do the national and pick off that list.
So yeah, and there's no saying that it has to be a 10K or under. I mean, we could do a bigger act. We just have to charge more for our ticket.
So if we get the original one or two that I was saying,
Yeah,
we could definitely charge higher for the tickets.
right. we would have to do much different production than what we did for the Fleetwood Mac. Like,
Yeah.
our stage probably wouldn't cut it.
No.
We'd probably have to do a lot
A
more,
rental, okay.
a lot more work to set that up, so the cost would be higher. We could certainly explore that, and I can have some of those conversations at conference. Eric will be there. I don't think Paige is coming to this. I think they're
I was
splitting up.
gonna say, you could ask her, like, if there's any opening dates for.
Mhm.
In the spring.
Yeah.
And see if we could try to work around that.
Yeah. Okay, I will talk about it, and there's also, there'll be stage and sound folks there, so we can have that conversation
Okay.
about what a stage rental would look like in that type of a year.
Okay.
I got the alert, Clatsop Works internship deadline is December 16th. I really think we have a better idea of their program. Hopefully I can hire some folks to
Yeah.
start like
Yeah.
May of this year, or
That would be awesome.
and help us try to get some of this deferred maintenance caught up. We're gonna talk MOUs for OSU and FFA, but at some point we'll want to talk about an auction committee
Yes.
agreement and like notifying them that we want to work on something. I would definitely like to get these ones cleared off before we dive into a new project. And like you mentioned, at the rolling calendar, arena sign renewals will need to be issued out, and then we'll be wanting to kick off open rides. That's my update.
Sweet.
I
Very
just sent you, dates for OSET too.
Okay.
Okay. On our business agenda, first up will be Astoria Senior Celebration Community Request. Hello.
My name's Sigrid Devon, I'm a senior at Astoria High School. I'm Candace Davidson, I'm also a senior at Astoria High School, and we're just here to like thank you guys on behalf of the class of 2025 for letting us use the fairgrounds for our senior celebration. And I'm Jenna Devon, I'm a parent of a senior at Astoria High School, and representing on behalf of the Astoria Senior Celebration Committee tonight. And our committee puts on the senior class graduation celebration. And it's a nonprofit organization, and so we're not affiliated with the high school, so we don't get any funding from the high school. So we raise all their funds, and the goal is $40,000, which, I mean, I don't have to tell you guys the cost of.
Oh, yeah.
Fair and all the things, and I came just as a volunteer last year to help with the kids, and they just had a blast out here, so we do appreciate you guys letting us use the facility. And this year, there's 175 students, so they have a really big class. I think all through, they've had to shuffle teachers around as they moved through the different schools. And so it's a big class, and we try to have as much of that money kind of going back to them too. And so our ask is to reduce the cost of the facility rental for the current percent.
Okay, can I ask a couple questions? I do it to everybody. She knows. So what parts of, I'm gonna ask the girls too. You guys know me, so don't be shy. Okay, what parts of the facility do you guys use for your senior celebration, or are you asking to use this year?
So pretty much all of it. This year, the exhibit hall, last year they used the exhibit hall, the arena for some of the bigger things, because they had some bounce houses and
Fun.
blow up things
Yeah.
and a ton of games out there, and they had a casino set up in here, and then Freedom Food came and had
Do you guys use the kitchen?
food. And so, yeah, the kitchen, they said, is used not for cooking, but for just prepping food and putting food in there. So that's,
And are you asking for full donation of the
that would be,
venue?
that would be great. I mean, we go out to the community and do an ask. We've done can drives. We're doing multiple can drives, 50-50 raffles.
Is this on the calendar?
Sponsored.
No, it's
letters
too
to
far out.
community.
Yeah.
Have they put in for it?
I believe so. So I have a couple comments of note. Last year, we reduced it to 1,900 for them.
We reduced to 1,900?
Yes.
Because they were using
The
here
hall, the
and
kitchen,
there.
and the-
Okay.
Yeah. The other is that we've had a request from Warrenton for Friday night, and so there will probably be some discussion about how to share the space if both events are wanting to come in here.
Are they the same weekend? Usually they're.
Yeah, it's usually, I think usually Warrenton's Friday, Astoria's Saturday, and then Seaside's Sunday. I don't know.
No,
I could be wrong.
Seaside's usually on a
Like
Monday or Wednesday,
Okay.
but Napa, I think.
Napa's always same day as
Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay, well, except for last year because they finished early because of construction or whatever.
So there are some things to consider as far as other users around the same time that didn't happen last year also.
Did you guys budget?
$40,000 is.
Just the whole, as the total?
Yeah. That's amazing, though.
What would the total rent of space cost for us, for as a whole rent?
It's hard because there's not great,
Yeah,
there's
we
not a
don't
rate,
have-
great fee schedule. What
Yeah.
we call for is a minimum of 2,000 on the arena.
On just the arena?
But the minimum is really kind of, it's like, depending on the event, it's like,
Right.
So do we
if
have
they
to-
did
do we
well,
have to put the floor down? Do we have to drag it?
No,
Do
I
we
don't
have to
think
do
the
anything?
the floor will already be down.
Floor's already down.
Floor's already down.
This
okay.
is before the Scandinavian Festival by like a week or two.
So this.
rates for nonprofits?
No, we decided the board what to reduce or if to reduce. I feel like we went through this last year and what we talked about each piece of the pie last year, like the arena typically costs
2,000
this
is
indoor
1,000
is 1,000.
and the kitchen's 400.
And that's 400. So typically it costs 3,400 and we reduced it to 1,900 last year.
Yeah.
But
Cool.
we're also gonna have a time crunch and shifts this year with this portion, or is Warrenton wanting to do the whole thing too?
I'm not sure exactly what they want to do. They reached out to start the conversation, but it hasn't gone much past that, but I can reach back out to them. I mean, you know, you guys have quite a bit of time still, right? Like we can figure out what that means as far as other dates, but if you want to set a rate,
Also the pressure, I'm trying to-
I would make a motion that we reduce the fees down to 1,500 for
So the indoors. The use of the exhibit hall, kitchen, and the arena. Which is $400 less than
last year.
yeah, oh, you're making the motion, not me.
That's okay, you're head.
Because we don't know what the switch around will be. I think we could reduce it to 1,500 because it could. We can't guarantee the shift from Warrenton to Astoria if it's on the same weekend, that it's gonna go seamless for you guys. So I think we could reduce it to 15.
ideally, there's some collaboration and maybe things are reduced cost for you by having it for a weekend rental. It was Tabitha,
Majority.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Get a name and
yeah.
I'll send it to you real quick.
Yeah.
I have it.
Yes.
So can we just hold off then on that until you guys collaborate and then we can figure it out? Cause then maybe
Would
we
you
can do even
mind?
better.
Then
Do
we
a
if we could
package
do
deal?
better and a package deal between you guys, we might be able to be more, it might be more beneficial.
In your favor.
We aren't gonna, we
Like, you don't
promise
have to
not
come-
forget, we won't make you come
Yeah,
back.
you don't have to come back or anything. We'll
If you
just,
Get an update.
Yeah.
We can get an update from you and then then also Matt will be here and he's very, very generous too. So
I think we can do better.
Okay.
that's awesome. Thank you guys very much.
Thanks for letting us take up some time.
Yes, thank you for coming.
And they wanted to. Probably,
You guys-
our class of.
They're FFAs.
Yes, yes. Callie is helping me get FFA kiddos, so
We're both in the same.
Perfect, I love
Just
it.
let her know.
Yes,
That's
just
what's happening.
she wants to do it.
Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna be, yeah, we're gonna be posting it. So far, it sounds like entry fees are $100.
Oh, boy.
Which is what makes, yeah, cause I have a 7-year-old that wants to do it, but also I have a 7-year-old that has to run, his horse has to run
Okay,
with
so
earplugs, so.
We are not gonna have this as an action item tonight. We're gonna hold
Hold
off
on.
Which one?
until.
Oh, this one, yeah,
Yes.
table,
Okay.
yep.
I'm gonna send you Tabitha's.
Okay. Move.
I don't know. Well, I'll give it to you.
Very nice.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to concerts 2025 backups. We are going to select 3 or 4 more artists as backups in case, have we heard back from any of them yet?
She said the offer's in for 40K and we should know sometime. I don't think she said what date they put on it
In
or,
case- Like as an end date?
yeah.
Okay, in case Rodney Atkins passes on the offer. The board selected Rodney Atkins, obviously, at the special meeting on 9/23. We just decided we should probably have some backups just in case. I really feel like Matt should be a part of this conversation. I don't feel like it's fair that it's just Mallory and I, because we're gonna lean towards the same artists, Mallory and I are, and Matt's gonna twist it up a little bit. So I'm not really sure if we should do that one right now.
Okay,
Was he on, what, I thought he had said. What he
He's,
thought.
yeah, he was, obviously, we were all Rodney Atkins. And then he like Aaron took it.
Yeah. But, yeah. I mean, I won't play Walker. Play Walker's expensive, so
I want Clay Walker too.
I really want to play Walker. It's so
Black.
bad.
Yeah.
Mm.
Do we have the list in here?
Yeah, that's
I
what
do
I'm trying to
not,
look.
no,
We
It's on
don't.
my phone. It's
no,
on my
you
phone.
guys were gonna do your
I know,
research
I know.
and
We
have
did.
names ready.
I had names ready. Hold
Well,
on.
you know who I want and we might have to have them for something special.
Her message just says the offer's in at 40K, she'll keep me posted, that's all she said.
I want the original list.
Yeah, the one that I remember was in.
Seriously, do we really have email this much?
Okay, so, my 2 that I liked was Clay Walker and Terry Clark.
Where was Clay Walker on the?
Clay Walker's at 60.
And, you know, if you wanna wait for Matt. I can at least take your stuff and tell them that's what you're thinking and get an update from them.
The original one with the newer people,
I don't know if that's the right one,
no, but it's okay.
but those are my 2.
What was the other one? Terry Clark.
Terry Clark, yeah.
I'm gonna try to pick outside of those, even though I would love Terry.
I mean, I would love to see some up and coming names
That's
that
what I
have upside,
That list,
but you know, it's your guys' call.
where is that list
I
again?
just
I
feel
can't
like
find it.
sponsorship wise, it's easier to find sponsors with that.
With a
The
known
up and
product.
coming, yeah, the up and coming would be something fun to do in there. But again,
Well, we know
it's
that, we wanna
expensive.
try that, but I've seen ever since we talked about the Corey Kent. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Oh my God, now I see him everywhere. It's like
Yeah, and I
blowing up on Facebook. I'm like,
It's because you talk about it.
dang.
Thank you.
It's because you talk about it.
All our.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Actually, Zuck left, so he's really good.
But that's how I felt about Zach Top. And now look, Zach Top is going to freaking tour with Alan Jackson. Like he's phenomenal.
Somebody messaged you.
Jackson Dean.
It was me.
Jackson Dean would be, was he with Laney?
Yep,
Yeah,
he was
he
good.
would be
He was
amazing.
good.
His song,
Zach Top was good
Can
too.
we get Jackson Dean?
Jackson
yeah,
Dean was good.
I think he was on the list
The
that
list
they've
list.
sent.
Okay, those are
Let's
my
get that
3.
one.
Those are my 3.
Hey, no, that's my one. I wanted their original new people list. Now you're stealing that.
Let's see what I can find here.
Thank you. I don't even think that it would be that bad to do like Martina McBride or Terry Clark in here as a smaller one too. I do like Thompson Square. They're on there for 25K.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
The first list or the second, the first short list or the second short list?
First,
Just
I think,
mine
right,
read
that
Washington,
Brightman's
not
on it
very
and that
weekends
girl that I
ago.
like too.
Yeah,
And does that
We
have?
already
I went to,
I think this is it.
I went to Clint Black at the ANA,
yeah.
and that was the best concert I've ever been to.
Everybody
Minus
said
fireworks.
that.
But
I like
Here it
this
is
whole
right here.
thing.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't see that. I
Camping trip I wanted to go.
I can forward it to you right now.
I think that you go out and stand up and look at it.
Okay, I can make it less blurry as well, and make it bigger.
um,
I sent you Jenna's phone number now.
I also love Sammy Kershaw, but
That'd be fun.
It's a good look.
No.
I love him. I think that we could put like Terry Clark and Clay Walker. I don't know who that is.
She was on The Voice. She was
She's really good.
one of Blake Shelton's winners. She was really young,
Yeah.
little blonde girl. She was really good.
Yes.
Yeah, the Terry Clark and Clay Walker, I just feel like we would have a really good opportunity to get sponsorships, is my thought process. Those are gonna be easy sells.
So you know who the people that I work for, I'm not gonna say their names on the public thing, but they are really obsessed with, or she is, with that.
Ella Langley. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's blowing up big time. He's not going on tour with Riley Green, so they've got like a mega show
Yeah, they
happening.
do.
She's a.
Oh, okay, so I wanna add her. That gives us 4 backups right there.
And like I said, if you if you guys wanna vote on this, or if you want me to just kind of have these as a pending list,
I think
and.
just having them as a pending list.
And I can let her know this is what you're thinking, and if she could tell us by the end of the week, like, okay, this one's a viable, this one's not, this one isn't,
Yeah,
just
I
kind of
think
give
that's
us
a good idea.
an update,
Talk about that.
and then Matt can get
Is
engaged.
that one known as the spring concert?
I don't think that she don't think she's on our budgeted list.
Say,
one
I
is
know
amazing.
this Lindsay L isn't like popular, but man, her music's good.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of consider her like,
Sarah Evans.
what's the redheaded guy? What can't I think of his name right now?
About Sarah Evans too, but
Yeah.
she's more slow, like
Yeah.
slower.
It's not a show.
No.
Got Jackson Dean there.
I will tell you that Kyle, before he even talked to me, did
Is
ask
that-
about Gretchen Wilson,
Yeah,
because he knew I was gonna ask about her again, but she's not really touring at all.
yeah, it's gotta be like the perfect show. This
I
actually.
can make it perfect.
This Ashley Cook would be really good also. She's an up and comer that
But she already has an offer pending.
for the second, so this is routed. So this would be the following day.
Okay, add Ashley Cook on there. As a pending. Jackson Dean would be in that. I know Jackson Dean would be en route too. If Ronnie says no, let's go Jackson Dean. Okay,
I have to almost listen to all these names.
Yeah,
you should go listen to them. They're good.
Well, some of them I don't know until I hear the music. I'm like, oh, yeah. I know.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The name's something.
his most popular song is called Fearless. And it's really catchy.
Okay,
It's an ear warmer. I
so
like this Red Farron, but he's very up and coming. You say he sounds a lot like Morgan Wallen.
I'm just-
it'd be nice if we could get, if we could get him as an opener. Would he open?
Maybe, I don't know, maybe.
Okay, so we've made some backup selections, but we are not gonna make a motion, we're gonna table that.
Okay.
That's just knocking stuff off. Okay. Holy Moses. Next up is 4-H Association lease and bill of sale for the clubhouse.
Yeah. So
This is
in the
these-
discussion about the MOU that is expiring in January for the clubhouse. We had this joint meeting with Sarah and the 4-H Association and Sandra, County Council, Assistant County Manager, and myself. And kind of talked about ideas moving forward and established that the best course forward would be just to give the building back to them, then they can have their exclusive use. So basically reverting the agreement fully back to what it used to be. For the association. So basically, this whole process is just to reinstate the previous
original
arrangement that was with the association. And so Monica and Anthony worked to basically update the lease agreement
Lease is for, because it's on our property, so this is
for the land.
for the land.
Yep.
That's what I mean. And then we basically are deeding the building back to 4-H Association.
Yes. And so the association's already sanctioned this. We're bringing it to you all to you and you provide your input for the county board. It's ultimately, since it's the county's property, it's the county's decision, but
We still need to make a motion.
I think, yes, we make a motion
And
to
we
support
talk
it.
about this at the joint session next week.
I'm sure that this is something that would be a good item to bring up. This didn't get onto the agenda for them for that meeting. I
Okay.
think their agenda was just so packed. It's tentatively set for the 16th for the meeting with the county board to discuss this item. But it's moving through about as quick as it could possibly. Possibly
It
go
is
through.
going fast, so that's good. I make a motion to move forward with working with the 4-H Association on the new land lease agreement, as well as the bill of sale or signing the clubhouse back over to the 4-H Association.
Yeah, I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Okay,
Okay.
when will they bring that up?
The 16th, I believe, was the meeting that it will go before the county board. It was originally supposed to be on the 9th when you all were meeting. With them, but it
We can
got
still,
postponed a week.
is there Zoom link for their meetings? There is, isn't there?
Yes.
Okay, because I think that'd be a good one for us to be present, or at least a couple of us.
Yeah.
Okay. There. When do they, okay, yeah.
You
Ha, ha,
you
ha.
talk about the appointment of the new
Yes.
people. So you all will meet with them, and that will be their work session where they're discussing it, and then it'll go back at either the following meeting or in a preceding meeting for the board to put on their business item to vote on. They do everything in a work session, one meeting, and then vote on something in the following meeting or in a later meeting.
So this will be October, so it most likely will not go to.
It
until
will-
November.
Likely be either, and it's getting into a tough time of the year for them. I believe the 20. Let's see. That's a night meeting, probably the 23rd,
Of this month?
yeah, or the 6th. I don't know, either the 6th or the 13th. They won't have their second meeting in November. So that it will have to either be done at the second meeting in October or the first meeting in November, or if it doesn't happen by then, it will have to be the first meeting in December. But
Okay.
I anticipate that it will likely be, you have joint session next week. They discuss it in the following
Will it
meeting.
be fresh on their minds?
Yeah.
Okay. Next up on the business agenda is the MOU with OSU.
Yes. So we've been working through this. We discussed it at that same meeting. This one, Sandra brought back some comments. Anthony and myself have looked at the comments that Sandra has sent. And so that's what you have, it's not in your packet, but the handout I gave you.
Yep.
That is the
updated
most
updated.
up to date with some comments. If you want to look through that. So that will need to go back to Sandra one more time, but I think that there's really nothing in there. It was just like some. Yeah, where's the copy of it? I can look through it with you. Some clarification stuff. And then that will need to be reviewed by OSU. And then once it's reviewed by OSU, there's a bunch of parties for this to be signed by. And so we'll have to get all of these signatures coordinated and all that. So what my best guess is that you all, we'll send this back. We'll look at it tonight. If you have any further direction, we'll make those changes. We'll send it to Sandra again. She'll send it to OSU. It'll come back and then we can set a special meeting to approve it.
Okay.
Or we can wait till our November meeting and.
Let's do a special
Either way.
meeting. Let's hammer it down. I
Uh,
don't think that there's any changes. I think that most of the stuff you guys already kind of, I was in the special meeting when there was back and forth going on and, I think that we're ready to just send it back to her.
Okay.
I have to make a motion just for that.
I don't know. So I put this in the business, but I don't know if it's quite there to where that we're making a formal decision, but if you have some direction, we table it and bring it back for.
My direction just would be to send it back to her so we can get it on with the process. And then if when we do get it back from her at OSU, let's get a special meeting planned and.
Do the final.
Yeah.
I can kind of highlight some of the comments between Anthony and myself. You know, there was this spot here that had a link for what the facilities were. Just remove the link, said anything at our address, clean that up.
Yeah.
You know, we had the discussion about how far in advance to book events. I had a similar comment in our FFA one and just kind of didn't say that we're changing anything, but just said we reserve the right to adjust and reschedule events with appropriate notice and collaborative planning. Like, we want to hold something in there, but it's not like if you were to make a decision and we'd already basically booked them for 12 months out, and then the fair board made a decision where something was already booked, wanting to reserve that right to work with them. And so that's one comment. I don't know of a better way to word that. They
Yeah,
kind
that's
of,
a hard one, but I don't even like it that way. I'm just gonna be honest.
it's hard,
Um,
it's
But
hard
it
to
is
word.
hard. I get it, but.
And, you know, we were gonna work with them. That's the thing. That's the
I know,
collaborative.
but when
plan.
you put something in,
What does it say?
it does not say that. It says the Fair and Expo.
So
That does not mean that we have the choice. as a
And
fair board.
as far as this agreement is the Fair and Expo, you guys are you are the policy for the Fair and Expo. Like, you set all of the policy for here. This worded it as, instead of Fair Board, as Fair and Expo for like
As a blanket,
consistency, and
yeah.
it helps because it's where it's like, the Fair Board will set up the pins. It's like, well, the Fair Board's not setting up the pins. The
I mean,
Fair
I
and
will,
Expo
if you
is.
really need me to, but.
Right. It's just a little cleaner to put it that way. So yeah, if you have any thought about that one, moving through the others, there was a comment said there'll be no charge to OSU for the use of the fairgrounds. I think they were referring to the stuff in this section A for the events that are in attachment A. So we clear that up, like, oh, we want to add all these extra events and there's no charge for them. Like, no, these are the events that you agreed to in this like, attachment are the ones that we're talking about.
And then everything else would be by the discretion of the board.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it just kind of leaves it.
It's just hard to word some of the stuff without it making it look like.
This is it's very favorable to the 4-H. 4-H group.
Okay. I know, that's my,
All the stuff in yellow is what Sandra added, so.
Okay.
Adding the tear down of the pins is great.
Yeah.
It says the 5-day effective, 5-year effective, but it had a date for 6 years, so that was an easy number. This onto the signature part. I know it's a little funky with the Master Gardener program and 4-H program. That's another one that I'll discuss with Sandra a little bit more. We were trying to remove people's names from this
Yeah.
and just leave titles on it. there are some events that are Master Garden events, but they're really Master Gardeners Association events. Like if the Master Gardeners Association didn't do the event, the event wouldn't happen
Okay,
by OSU.
we
So
talked about that.
how to fix that, but it's such a minor issue.
Okay.
Anthony was reviewing the whole signatory piece, like how to word it, you know. Is it the fair board? Is it the fair and expo? Is it the county board? Is it the county manager?
MOU is directly from the fairgrounds to them, so I believe that it would be a fair and expo / board,
Yeah,
signature.
he was going to review the MOU and the ORS.
I mean, what would the point of us be if the commission was making all the decisions?
Well, I think it's like even when we're contracting, you guys make the decisions that, yes, we want to hire Rodney Atkins, but then the county manager signs the contract with your direction. We went through the inventory. This is one that still needs a little bit of work. When we walked through yesterday, what we established was essentially OSU doesn't really own any of the equipment. All of this equipment is owned by the association, which isn't even a party in this contract. So really, all of the stuff could probably be removed and just more identifying specifically what items are on the property that the 4-H program needs to use that belong to the
Yeah.
fairgrounds without labeling every piece of equipment that we own. There's a little gray area here where there's some equipment that's not owned by the association or OSU. They're really owned by like a particular club, like the dog club or the archery club or something, but that equipment is stored here. So we're working through this. We had a conversation yesterday. I think we need a little bit of time to think about it, but we'll get this.
You were talking
Typed up.
about also is, not right at this moment, but in the future, like maybe coming up with a book of who's its and what's its, for lack of a better word,
Yeah.
just like a general, and that way when something new gets brought in, it'll be logged into this inventory, so then it's all clear and nothing is, whose is this? Why is it here?
Nobody
Where do
knows,
we put it?
right?
Why are we?
Can we throw this
Yeah.
away?
Yeah, so I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. I do think that we are very, very, very close on this.
I do too.
We will see what OSU says once they see.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't make that many
Right.
changes.
Well, OSU essentially wrote this thing, so.
Yeah.
I think that will go fairly quickly. So. Okay, we'll send that back to Sandra and go from there.
Okay, perfect.
Where are you? I think I threw myself off because I was looking at my handout and not the packet. FFA. Right?
Yes.
So I've met with Tess. Couple times we've reviewed, which the updated one is also handed out to you. She sent some updates. I sent it to Anthony. We had, this. Basically this comment about, booking in advance and paid events that we put some language in. About working with them. And then added like the terms and conditions, the termination, identification, insurance, which was missing from the agreement, and so. Tess hasn't seen these additions yet, so we'll send it to them.
Part, the revenue generating events and equitable access, is that our addition?
Yes, yeah,
And can you explain what that is?
so it's just basically acknowledging like. We're going to work with the FFA to commit to letting them use the facility and. Acknowledging that, we're also. Renting the facility out and that.
Did we put that in 4-H's?
That is essentially like where that reserve the right to. Work with them to, how was it?
That
worded?
wording's a lot nicer than this big old slap in the red.
Well, it's only red because it's track changes. Yeah.
Even the approach in it,
So
revenue generating events
clear-
and equitable
clear-
access to an MOU with a Future Farmers of America group.
Right.
Are they called that anymore?
It's not called that anymore.
Yeah, and so looking for language and it was about the public benefit. So that's how we were starting to search for the issue.
verbiage in the at 4-H?
Um,
You know what section?
there,
Other activities at the fairgrounds. No, I think that's them. It's nice.
my stack of paper is completely unorganized right now.
Mine too.
It's so the revenue generating is basically, finding a balance and coordinating with paid events and basically the free events that we're providing to FFA.
But why are we not stating that exact same thing to 4-H? And they actually use the fairgrounds more than FFA does.
Well,
I'm
we
just saying, I think we need to be fair on and do things very similar from one to the other. If I was to get this and have no idea about anything, I would find that very intimidating.
Well, I think and this is just where I'm coming from, is that it is more of a fair thing, like this is saying that these groups are getting benefits that other groups are not necessarily getting.
Well, they think they really do know that already, but this worries me because we bumped them last year. And almost in this whole technicality of thing, this basically says that we reserve the right to bump them too for a paying event. And that is not how we want to come across.
Hmm.
I just think there's a better way we could write this that does not. Out of everybody, I mean, we're having a really good open working conversation with 4-H, with the 4-H Association. I think where we are lacking the most is with FFA, and I think this is gonna alienate that even more.
Okay.
So I don't know how we could word it, that maybe. I just wanna see it similar. I think what we did last year, I understand, yes, we do need to create revenue, but I think what we did last year to them was not right. And I mean, I've kind of said that from the get-go, that is my opinion, but I think this right here just justifies our actions, and I don't like that. If there's a nicer way to put it, that, hey, if, like we have in the other one, and I know I saw it in here, I just can't find it now. It was just a little bit, this right here, it's in, of course, B.
Like I said, my whole stack is,
I think it's on the
Upside
first
down.
page of the MOU, starts B1, and if you guys put, we reserve the right to adjust and reschedule events with appropriate notice of collaborative planning. That's nice. The other line item, I'm not really.
yeah, so. What do we have here?
Like you have in here ensuring fair access, which is great, but the part right above it where it says flexibility for paying events. Then why don't we put that in on 4-H's too? Yeah. I'm not really, I just want us to be very careful and don't look like we're targeting, and that kind of, to me, looks a little bit targety. From one to the next.
Right, I mean, there's a lot that went into negotiating this OSU agreement.
Yeah,
Right.
and I understand it's a 2-pager versus a 20-pager, I get it, but I think there's a better way to approach it.
It's making the point, and this was some conversation that I had with Hess also about, the fairness between different groups getting different deals. And trying to start acknowledging that, there is a public benefit piece that we have to that we're trying to be very careful about, which groups, not picking which groups get a discount or a wait, like if that's what we're going to do, it's what we do across the board, or why are we doing different agreements for different groups?
So if we
I
can,
mean, we can think about it some more. I just trying to, basically,
will this
it's
go
to the
in front of
point
the
about-
FFA board, do you know?
I don't know if they have a
Melissa?
board. I think it's just,
They do, they have the alumni.
We have, but the agreement would be with, FFA or Astoria High School.
Astoria High School.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be with the alumni, I don't think. We meet on the 16th of October. And if it's discussed, I can,
basically how to try to
but I've never.
get the
seen it.
wording in there about like how far in advance we're going to guarantee we're going to give them the facility for these events.
Events, and then,
But
yeah,
scheduling those events and how far in advance and
we need.
how
yeah.
to coordinate that with the rest of the business of our facility.
Yeah.
In a way that's gonna benefit everybody. Hey, we're not talking about like pulling the rug out from under them. We're talking
I
about
know,
working
but
with
if
them.
you look at the verbiage in comparison to the verbiage in 4-H, here's like we're talking a bit about equality across, right? If you look at the verbiage here under the flexibility for paying events, in FFA, it says, in the event that a revenue generating opportunity arises, the Fair and Expo reserves the right to adjust or reschedule non-paying events, including those of FFA with appropriate notice and collaborative planning.
Yeah.
On 4-H's, all it says is the Fair and Expo reserves the right to adjust and reschedule events with appropriate notice and collaborative planning.
And if you look at like the former 4-H association event, it talks about bumping within so many days. Like there's language that was hard to interpret in that one as well.
Yeah, I just think this is super
And they think
aggressive.
there was language in both of them. That were.
I like the way you
funky.
guys changed the 4-H one too. I don't know why we can't use that same thing over here.
Oh, yeah, so I don't think there's anything in here about, how far in advance to book.
Yeah, I mean, that probably should be added
To
as well.
book. And it was just leaving it more open door, like we'll book with you really, really far out in advance. But say 14 months comes up and there's some opportunity, it's still a long ways out. Like, we're not gonna move something on somebody in a short window, but if you wanna book something really,
But
really
we
far
did
in
last year.
advance.
That's our
Yeah.
mistake.
It was, yeah, that was all part of the conversation from the get-go. I think when we were working with her, said, we have this event. Like it was right when she came to us, we were discussing how we had this opportunity for this other event.
And that's, FFA only. Thing, right?
I just think, could we please work on softening that up? That's all I've got
Okay,
on that one. Sorry. Okay. So we're gonna table that.
and I can share it with Tess and see if she has some ideas as well on what's acceptable with her. And we can be working through it.
Okay. Finance reports.
Yeah. Total resources. Year to date actual, 181,000. We just did a transfer, then this is through August, right? Yeah, so
Oh, boy.
August. Yeah, it's hard to read on the paper. I don't know how to make it fit on here much better.
It's fine.
We just finished that journal entry to transfer some 70K over of expenses of revenues from the fair, so this number is much higher than it was like. Yeah, this is through August. We've spent 36% of the budget through the fair, 289,000. Looking for big ones to go over. Membership fees, I think that's the. We've got the chamber and OFA and. For them that are gonna be renewals. Advertising dollars spent. I say this is just through August, so a lot of the bills for the fair still haven't hit this. If people billed us at the end of August.
Okay,
20% of the budget used.
well, it'll be more accurate after we look at September too, because we'll have more bills.
Yep.
Okay. Good of the order? All right, do you have anything?
I don't think so. I think I had something on that.
Sorry.
You're fine. Fine. It's not my day. Maybe that's something. What it was.
You didn't.
Nope. Um. Nope.
You know how to get it. Okay, I don't have anything other than thank you and thanks for putting up with my complaining.
Get it, you're taking your role seriously.
Yes, yes, okay. I think that's everything.
Yeah, move to adjourn.
I'm new. Sure. Yeah, okay, thank y'all.
I have a question for you. I lost another 100